Alright everyone, welcome to Deep Dives with Dogs. Obviously, if you watch this series, you know these are not my dogs. These are my grandfather's dogs. I'm watching his house for a few days. Um, so yeah. But, on to the topic of today. Well, today's topic is about Lee's signing of the Treaty of Surrender at the Appomattox Courthouse, effectively ending the Civil War in the East. It'll continue in the West for a little bit, but no, there aren't really any major battles like there were previously. That happened on the day I'm recording this, which is April the 9th. And obviously, it's a big part of the American Civil War. A lot of people consider it basically the end. And in some ways it kind of is, but they're still, like I said, they're still fighting out west. Um, Especially in Texas. Texas really doesn't give up for quite a while. But uh, Lee surrendering it makes sense why a lot of people would consider it the end. Lee is seen as the best of the best for the Confederacy. It's right there where the Confederates are, their capital is, and all that stuff. So him surrendering over there makes a little bit of sense. Lee, obviously, didn't necessarily want to do this, but was kind of forced to when his government up and ran for it. So it's up to Lee. Obviously, he's the main general here. And Lee's given the honors that he could be afforded as just another guy, American. And honestly, a lot of what goes on during this treaty signing and things like that really shows the character of Ulysses Grant and shows just the honor that he has. He treats Lee respectfully, still as an opposing leader, but respectfully, trying to treat him as just another American at this point, which he is. And that's the mindset you want to have at this point. You don't want to create further division. At the end of it, people will start to kind of cheer, like when Lee's riding away. It's like, "Woo, yeah, we did it!" People are going to celebrate. And Grant says, "No, no, not right now." And lets Lee leave, and there's silence. It's like an honor kind of thing, which is something you kind of have to do at this point. If you would have had more of this, oh well, yeah, we beat you and all that. If you have that mindset, it will just divide the country again, and you're not going to have this unification that is so needed at this point. And Grant understood that. Lincoln understood that. So it's just kind of the character of these men. There are some funny stories about all of this peace treaty signing and all that stuff, the surrender signing. The table that it was signed on, people buy it, like start bidding on it right away. Custer from, if you know Custer's Last Stand, and he tries to buy it. I think he does actually get it or something, but somebody buys it. Not 100% sure who, but yeah, all these military guys are trying to buy it. And the place where it's at, where the signing is at the Appomattox Courthouse, the guy that owned that house had tried to escape the war. That's why he was in where he was. Originally, when the war took place, his family was right up near where the battle started, right where the Potomac River is. So there's Virginia, and then there's Washington right there. A lot of the battles start right there. And he's like, I'm getting out of here. And so he leaves. They go further south with like, yeah, the war will never come here. And then the war makes it all the way to him. And then his house is where they're signing the peace treaty. Or the surrender treaty, not the peace treaty. But it's just kind of funny. You try to escape, run, but it just catches up to you anyway. I'm sure it was a funny event in some way. You kind of have to laugh at the absurdity of it. Like, of course. Uh, yeah, the talks take a little bit, obviously. You gotta hammer out some of the details. But Lee, at this point, He's just ready to be done with it, honestly. And Lee himself, I mean, realistically, he didn't. He wasn't as opposed to rejoining the Union as some of the guys. Lee's main thing when he leaves the Union Army to join the Confederacy is just that he's Virginian, and he's gonna join Virginia. He's gonna be with his state. Now, that's how a lot of guys thought of it. They didn't necessarily hate the Union; they just preferred their state more. Why would I care about the federal government? I care about my state more. Um, that kind of feeling has kind of been washed away with time, mostly because of, well, realistically, a campaign by the U.S. government to prevent people from kind of feeling this way again. But it sounds a lot harsher when I say it like that. But it is kind of what happens. They don't want people being more loyal to their state than the federal government because then you have these issues where you have people like Lee who's really just like, well, I just prefer my state. But it is what it is. Uh, but realistically, I think this was the best option, especially when you have someone like Grant who he's just like, no, you're gonna surrender. I'm not gonna give up. You're gonna surrender. And he's very much, they had Stonewall Jackson in the Confederacy. Well, Grant is a Stonewall. He's not going to give up on these things, you know. And he's a good general. He will win, and everyone kind of knows it. So might as well give up now before no more killing needs to be happening. It's time for brothers to be reunited with brothers. That's the idea. But that's all for today's topic. So if you like the video, leave a like. If you have anything you'd like to add to the topic, like any discussions, leave in the comments. It's always good. Discussion's always great. Having ways I can improve this series, leave a comment below. And if you can, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Thank you.